Hello everyone, it caught my attention that we are still in the clown decade, but we had a massive win over in America. And I think the person who this case has completely revolved around gave us the perfect reaction to hearing of this good news. Take it away, Kyle Rittenhouse.
Not guilty.
Members of the jury, are these your unanimous verdicts? Is there anyone who does not agree with the verdicts as read? Would you wish the jury polled? No. Okay.
Yes, Kyle Rittenhouse has been acquitted of all charges against him. Kyle Rittenhouse is now proven to not be a murderer. It was perfectly legal for him to cross those scary state lines. It was perfectly legal for him to be out in the streets of Kenosha with the AR-15 style rifle. And everything he did at that point was perfectly legal. Shooting the two men and killing them that were attacking him, shooting the third who had a pistol pointed at him in the arm, and he did the complete right thing by going straight to the police line to hand himself in. But unfortunately we are in the clown decade, and these facts did not matter to anyone. And the narrative for the mainstream media and anyone who follows them like zombies was that Kyle Rittenhouse was a murderer, illegally had the firearm, and of course, was a white supremacist, despite the fact he was also there at the protest giving medical aid to anyone and everyone, including Black Lives Matter's protesters, if you can call them protesters. So despite this being a big old fat dub for the people who prefer the side of truth, obviously people in the media and Hollywood and all that cannot accept it themselves, so let's go through a bit of the salty tears, shall we? First up, we've got Rage Against the Machine, or in this case, Rage for the Establishment. What defines innocence in America? Tamir Rice was executed for playing with a toy. Nobody was charged. Ahmaud Arbery was jogging and was murdered in broad daylight. Yes, and that trial's still going on, and they're probably going to be found guilty. Rittenhouse armed himself and killed people who were fighting for racial justice. Fighting as in chasing down a 17-year-old kid and threatening to kill him. He claimed self-defense, because it was self-defense. This is the settler logic of America's founding myth. Whiteness must cast itself as the victim in order to justify its violence against those resisting its oppression. Okay. Welcome to the land of the free, home of the brave. Yes, do welcome to the land of the free, home of the brave. You are free to kill people that are attempting to kill you or seriously maim you. Obviously, their alternative is just let him stay home and allow the city to be burned down. And this is a big issue that I've seen arisen. Basically, they don't see property as an extension of oneself. They just see property purely as material, and something that no person can possibly have a connection to in any way. Whereas obviously your property and your estate are lifelines, essentially. They are how you make money, and they are how you keep on living. But no, just let rioters who've never amounted to anything in their life, apart from felony charges themselves for touching kids and beating up women, and just let them run free. It's almost like this is exactly what Robert Heinlein was saying was going to happen in Starship Troopers. Though I think we need to do slightly more than spank kids out of it. So if saying a 17-year-old kid deserved to die because we don't like guns wasn't bad enough, we next have Pedro Pascal, or the Mandalorian himself. And he had a bit of a weird memorial tweet for the two people that died at the hands of Kyle Rittenhouse because they were trying to kill him. He says Joseph Rosenbaum, 36, and Anthony Huber, 27, murdered August 25th, 2020, rest in peace. Yes, of course they weren't murdered, as the trial and jury found. And I think when you point out that you are holding a memorial service for a paedophile and a woman beater on your Twitter timeline, while you have your own child in your profile picture, that doesn't give off a great look. Let alone the fact you are defaming an innocent man by implying that he murdered people, when he didn't. The trial found he didn't murder them. It was justifiable homicide. But again, not the worst celebrity tweet here. That has to go to Mark Ruffalo, who says, "We come together to mourn the loss of the same racist system that devalues black lives and devalued the lives of Anthony and Jojo." I don't know why he was giving the paedophile the pet name, but there we go. After all we've seen and heard about those weapons of war, these killing machines, there is no doubt that the people who faced this young man were more afraid of him than he was of them, which is why he was running away from them on video. He was the one with a weapon of war, loaded and ready to use on people. I nearly said paedophiles. But no, he wasn't. It was loaded, it was ready to be used, and it was ready to be used on people that attacked him. hence he didn't shoot. In fact, he ran away from them first, and then they attacked him and he shot. Justice weeps bitterly today. No, it doesn't. The scales of justice are more balanced than ever. We are coming together to heal the scars left by the wounds of this grief. We will care for each other and remember why we continue to march. I can't believe he called Joseph Rosenbaum Jojo. He molested boys under 10, Mark. He molested boys under 10. I wouldn't want to be on his side, and I certainly wouldn't lionize him. So they were probably the craziest out of the celebrity Twitter sphere to lionize paedophiles, but there we go, they are in Hollywood. So next we have the ACLU, who said, breaking, Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty of the fatal shooting of 2 and injuring of another during the protest over the shooting of Jacob Blake by the Kenosha Police Department. Again, the ACLU seems to think as well Jacob Blake's innocent. Jacob Blake was breaking about 10 laws when he got shot, and he was picking up a weapon. It's the most justifiable thing I can think in my life, but the only context you'll get from this side is that he was shot in the back. Okay, again, he was trying to kidnap kids, he was breaking a restraining order, and he was going for a weapon. And he was ignoring police commands. I don't know what else he needs to do for it to be justifiably shot in these mines. I guess if he was white. The situation represents an outrageous failure to protect protesters by the Kenosha Police Department and Kenosha County Sheriff's Office. Okay. And also their failure to protect property, but again, we'll ignore that. Months of research and open record requests have uncovered many instances in which police encouraged white militia members to become armed vigilantes in the streets due to their failure to control the crowd. Wow, and that only got 2 people killed and a 3rd injured who were attacking one of the... It wasn't even a militia member, but an armed person. So that's pretty good. Despite Kyle Rittenhouse's conscious decision to travel across state lines, he lived on a border town, and he goes to Kenosha often, and injure 1 person and take the lives of 2 people protesting the shooting of Jacob Blake by police. Again, that's what I mean. Just no context. Nothing about them attacking him. And you've got to bring up Jacob Blake as well for the sympathy on the left. It's just ridiculous. He was not held responsible for his actions. Yes, he was. He was in jail waiting for bail for like a month or 2. And then when he was released, he had to move because he was getting death threats along with his mother. And then not only that, he's been through hell with people like you lying about him and having to go through a whole court case with prosecutors lying about him, the media lying about him. He has gone through hell. He has been held more than responsible for his actions, I'm afraid. And you say, unfortunately, this is not surprising. Well, you know what? I'm not surprised you're a bunch of filthy liars either. But if tweeting nonsense about this case wasn't enough for the media and leftist activist groups, of course, it had to come up on the late-night talk shows. So here's what Stephen Colbert had to say about the whole situation after he's done wanking off vaccines.
Big news on Friday was that after being accused of crossing state lines, killing 2 people, and wounding another.
Again, straight away, the state lines thing's in. That wasn't illegal. I don't know why it keeps being brought up. It was debunked within the first week of them saying this, but still, over a year later, the crap about state lines is just constantly put forward.
Last year, during a Black Lives Matter protest, Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted on all counts.
And thank God for that. If I was running a late-night talk show host, I'd have a massive celebration and invite Kyle on. If he was 21, even probably buy him a bottle of whiskey or something. But no, we get a weird eulogy instead for 2 complete no-names who were the scum of the earth, essentially.
Okay. Yeah, okay, cards on the table. I'm not a legal expert.
But you're still going to say what you need to appease your crowd. Oh, they said boo. Oh, boo, Kyle Rittenhouse. Boo. Why don't you just let him kill you?
So I can't tell you whether or not Kyle Rittenhouse broke the law.
Okay, weird start, but let's go on. I mean, I'm no legal expert either, and that's why I went to legal experts to see what they had to say about it. And Rakita Law throughout this whole trial was saying, yeah, he's done nothing wrong, there's nothing illegal about what he did. Whereas all the media could do was lie about the kid and smear him.
But I can tell you this, if he didn't break the law, we should change the law.
Wow, I want to change the law to arrest and condemn and put in jail those people that I don't like. That's essentially what that says. Let's just have completely arbitrary laws put in place so that we can jail an 18-year-old kid who had to defend for his life. Kid's gone through enough, man. The last thing he needs is you telling activists, judges and lawyers and all that they need to make a specific, I don't know, Rosenbaum's law that says if you're chasing someone, they have no legal right to defend themselves. Like, what do you want, Colbert? What the hell do you want? What you want is for this kid to be lynched. That's essentially what you want. But nah, man, just keep playing to your crowd and to your network. That'll get you plenty of money. Hope selling your soul feels good. So next up, we should get into what politicians have been saying. So first up, we've got the governor of Illinois, Governor J.B. Pritzker, who is governor of the place Carl lives, which he does live in Illinois. So he said, carrying a loaded gun into a community 20 miles from your home and shooting unarmed citizens is fundamentally wrong. What if they're attacking you and trying to kill you, Governor? What if he only... This is the thing. What if he only killed the man with the pistol and only injured the other two? What would they be saying then? They can't say that... Well, they can still say you shot unarmed citizens. Yeah, they were trying to kill him. Or at least seriously injure him. What's he supposed to do? Read my full statement on the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict, in which he continues, it's a tragedy that the court could not acknowledge that basic fact. Well, no, they could acknowledge that attacking an innocent man is wrong. That's what they acknowledged. 26-year-old Anthony Huber and 36-year-old Joseph Rosenbaum, a father who had their whole lives ahead of them to nonce more kids and beat more women, they deserve to be alive today. They deserve justice. I'm not being funny. I don't know if you can say they deserve to be alive today. They did try and attack a guy with a gun. They deserve justice. Well, they got their justice. My thoughts and prayers go out to all who loved them. We must do better than this. I agree, you have really got to do better than simping for child molesters and woman beaters. Chasing 17-year-olds who are trying to run away from you because you are threatening to kill them. Yes, I do think you need to do better. So next up, we've got what the President of the United States has to say about this, President Joe Biden. Let's hear his take on the verdict of Kyle Rittenhouse.
Well, look, I stand by what the jury has concluded. The jury system works, and we have to abide by it.
So because the helicopter's so bloody loud, I'm going to just have to repeat what he said, which is that he stands by what the jury have decided. The jury system works, and they have to abide by the jury's decision. So, a very political answer, not giving away his personal opinion, but going on to say, look, this is the jury, we think the system works, so let's just abide by that decision. Okay, fair enough. But unfortunately, the White House then released an official statement, which isn't as neutral. So, the statement goes as follows. While the verdict in Kenosha will leave many Americans feeling angry and concerned, myself included, so he feels angry and concerned over the fact that a kid defended himself and was found innocent of murder. We must acknowledge that the jury has spoken. I run on a promise to bring America together because I believe what unites us is far greater than what divides us. I know that we're not going to heal our country's wounds overnight, but I remain steadfast in my commitment to do everything in my power to ensure every American is treated equally with fairness and dignity under the law. I urge everyone to express their views peacefully, consistent with the rule of law. Okay, so this is the thing. Kyle Rittenhouse was the one doing that and encouraging that. It was the people attacking Kyle Rittenhouse that were doing the opposite of that. They were breaking the law. So it's really odd. Why are you left angry and concerned about the verdict then? Violence and destruction of property have no place in our democracy. The White House and federal authorities have been in contact with Governor Evers' office to prepare for any outcome in this case, and I've spoken with the governor this afternoon and offered support and any assistance needed to ensure public safety. I wonder if he's going to send the National Guard in. But I have to say that this announcement is a lot more in keeping with what he was saying during the presidential campaign, where he put out a video with the statement, there is no other way to put it, the President of the United States refused to disavow white supremacists on the debate stage last night, and includes Kyle Rittenhouse as one of those white supremacists. So that explains why he was angry and concerned. All they seem to care about is white supremacy where it doesn't even exist. And that's pretty much how the rest of the Democrat politicians reacted. It was either guns bad, white supremacy bad, or just a wishy-washy, yeah, that's their decision answer. But now we get on to the media, and for some reason CNN thought it was a really good idea after the verdict to publish this article. There's nothing more frightening in America today than an angry white man. Because the last thing you'd want to do in America apparently is fix race relations. But what I love about this article is that it has this, so they say, as I've watched 3 separate trials about white male violence unfold across the US in these past few weeks, the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, the Ahmaud Arbery death trial, and the civil case against organisers of the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, I've come to a sobering conclusion. There is nothing more frightening in America today than an angry white man. And I'm honestly quite amazed that he didn't put January 6 in there. And as far as I'm aware with the Aubrey case, those men are going to be put away, because there just doesn't seem to be any defence for them. And seriously, who cares about Unite the Right? The one guy who actually killed someone there is in jail. So you go a bit further down and the article says this: "It's not the radical Islamic terrorist that I fear the most, nor is it the brown immigrant or the fiery Black Lives Matter protester or whatever the latest boogeyman that some politician tells me I should dread is. That is, of course, unless they are a Democrat politician, and then you will be fed any medicine they give you. It's encountering an armed white man in public who has been inspired by the white men on trial in these 3 cases." And then they link to here's what legal experts say helped acquit Kyle Rittenhouse. So let's take a quick look at this article. So I'm just going to skip to this slam dunk moment in this article where CNN just cannot say in any regard that Kyle Rittenhouse is a dangerous armed white man. So they say, what the trial came down to, according to civil rights attorney Charles F. Coleman Jr., were 2 competing narratives. One of Rittenhouse being a victim who was attacked, and one of being a vigilante who provoked the violence. The jury brought the narrative of Kyle Rittenhouse being a victim. They thought that his self-defense claim was a lot stronger than the prosecution's provocation claim, he said. Wisconsin law allows the use of deadly force only if necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm. And because Rittenhouse's attorney claimed self-defense, state law meant the burden fell on the prosecutors to disprove Rittenhouse was acting in self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt. And it was an uphill battle to climb from the start because of the facts in the case, experts said. So CNN have just admitted in writing that the facts in the case are completely on the side of Kyle Rittenhouse defending himself. That's what the legal experts say, that's what CNN had to write, otherwise they'd be lying too much. And it's just a slam dunk. This makes the other article seem beyond ridiculous, more ridiculous than it already was, because it links to a CNN article telling him that he literally doesn't need to be afraid of Kyle Rittenhouse. Well done. So rip CNN and your narrative that white men are evil. But things across the pond aren't that much better, because in reporting on this case from The Independent, I mean, it's said best in this tweet. The scandalous, irresponsible, racist lie is still on the front page of the Independent website right now. All the people shot dead in self-defense by Rittenhouse were white. All of them. What a disgrace the rag is. I hope he sues. Because as you can see in the screenshot, it says Kyle Rittenhouse cleared of murder after shooting dead 2 Black Lives Matter protesters. And the full story, teenager who shot 3 black men with rifle found not guilty on all charges. None of them were black, as the tweet says. And not only should Kyle Rittenhouse sue The Independent, he should sue absolutely everyone who called him a white supremacist, including Joe Biden, assuming he's not got some parliamentary privilege, as we call it over here in the UK. Because there is absolutely no justifiable reason that someone should be lied to on this scale about this sort of thing. And it has absolutely damaged his reputation. Celebrities are still calling him a murderer just because CNN and the rest of the media have had to defame him and make it seem like he was some sort of deranged school shooter. But no, he was just a kid trying to do some good in his community, and even succeeding at that. And the only bit of respite is that Tucker Carlson of Fox News has basically been the only person in the mainstream media who's even attempted to actually see what Kyle Rittenhouse has to say about this story and his ordeal. So he did an interview with him on Fox News. And really, this video is not about what Kyle has to say about himself, it's what the media has to say, but just the fact it's taken over a year, which to be fair, I don't think they could actually organise an interview with Kyle Rittenhouse before he was acquitted. But it's taken this long to even care about what Kyle Rittenhouse has said or thinks about the ordeal is just ridiculous. Because for God's sake, Vice News did a video interview with the guy who shot the Patriot Prayer guy at another riot in the US. There were so many, I can't remember which one it is. But it seems to be because he supports Black Lives Matter and shot someone from Patriot Prayer who presumably are somewhat against BLM. According to Vice, he's on our side and he's actually a hero. And look, he acted in self-defense, which there's a video. No, he wasn't. Do they care? No. But when it comes to Kyle Rittenhouse, do they try and interview him and get his side of the story? Do they bollocks? It's all, oh, he's filing for self-defense. His attorneys say this and say that. Whereas this video interview, which I covered last year, man just outright completely lies to Vice News on camera, and there's absolutely no pushback on it, because Vice News are lazy bastards. But anyway, that's enough of that subject, because we're going to have to quickly go through another, which is the incident that happened the other day in Waukesha. And CNN's article, Waukesha parade crash suspect appears to have no emotion as officers tried to stop him, authorities say, is actually pretty objective and just keeping to the facts. They even name the suspect. And just to update those of you that may not know about this situation, in Waukesha during a Christmas parade, a big car, an SUV, ploughed into a big group of people at the parade. So far, I believe 40 are injured and 6 are killed, including kids. So yeah, pretty bad incident. But that's pretty much how the media have been covering this story so far, at least on the left wing. Which screams to me there's something they don't want to talk about, because when Kyle Rittenhouse obviously was doing his shooting, there was all sort of character attacks on him, going into his old Facebook and stuff like that, saying, oh look, he's pro-police and things like this. Just totally going through all stuff they can find on the internet about him to try and paint a picture of him to say, look at this evil man. But there hasn't been any of that with this Waukesha incident. And that was until a right-leaning paper in the UK, the Daily Mail, put out a rather large article about him, saying exclusive, the old white people knock dem TF out. Waukesha suspect shared social media posts promoting violence towards white people and claiming black people were the true Hebrews. And this is the type of thing you'd expect. It's like, you know, oh, Kyle Rittenhouse loves the police. Kyle Rittenhouse is a vigilante. Just all these character attacks, and there's none on this guy. All CNN said was, well, he caused a crash and he was a bit emotionless. Completely different to the reporting on Kyle. Calling him a white supremacist for absolutely no reason, despite the fact that this guy's clearly a black nationalist. Given that that's what the black Israelites are. They are black nationalists. So, the Mail goes on to say, a now-deleted Facebook account belonging to Darrell Brooks Jr., 39, showed the alleged killer had encouraged knocking white people the F out, and also appeared to support the controversial Black Hebrew Israelites. Police are yet to determine the motive behind the deadly rampage. However, records reveal Brooks is a career criminal with a rap sheet dating back to 1999 and had been bailed twice this year. Facebook posts also show the amateur rapper, who went by his stage name Mathboy Fly, who had shared a series of links and memes relating to race and white privilege in June 2020, when protests erupted over the death of George Floyd. And because the Mail is somehow one of the more reputable sources in the UK, they actually have their receipts, with the screenshot of Mathboy Fly saying, knock old white people TF out. And unfortunately that wasn't the end of his tirade, with him posting links to people explaining what white privilege is to them from ESPN, and a video of a white officer getting violent with a peaceful protester, and a black officer wasn't having it, which to be fair might be a perfectly legitimate video of a white cop getting too rowdy with a protester. But clearly he has an issue with white people just from these alone. But the last screenshot from the Mail is probably the most outlandish one, in which it's a quote from Hitler that Mathboy Fly posted, saying Hitler knew who the real Jews were, and essentially does say that the less bad N-word for black people are the true Jews. So yes, he really does see black people as God's chosen people, and that seems to be what black nationalists and especially the Black Hebrew Israelites believe too. So a bit of a deranged man, but you don't see these facts being posted across Twitter by the media in Hollywood and all that. No, that's just left for people like Kyle Rittenhouse who did nothing wrong. And so the obvious question is why? Well, I don't think the reason is that they hate Kyle Rittenhouse. I think the reason is that they hate the fact that people causing riots, or as they would put it, peaceful protests, can actually just be stopped with an AR and 30 rounds, or in Kyle's case he only shot 8. And I don't think they're really worried about any armed white man. There have been armed white men in America for centuries, and genuine mass shootings are still fairly rare over there. And if they really wanted to kill people, they just do what Darrell Brooks did, which is get an SUV and plough into a bunch of people they hate. But this is what happens when you set up this narrative over the past decade or so. Perfectly innocent people who did everything right in a situation, a very dangerous situation I might add, they have the wrath of the media, Hollywood, and anyone else in power thrusted upon them. Anyone who's on the good side of the media narrative, well, we either just keep quiet about it or sing Kumbaya for those that died who are innocent. But that is everything I had for you today. So, God bless the jury system, I suppose. In this case, the plebs really did come through for the right wing and the right to self-defence. And Kyle Rittenhouse, I hear, is hoping to actually sue people who have defamed him, and hopefully that actually goes through, and hopefully he makes millions of dollars from it. Because that's money taken away from the lying industrial complex, also known as the Big Gay. But that is a hope for another day, so eat your white pills now, guys. We're in a whole month for it, I think. And as I said, that's everything I have for you today. So, as usual, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.